Oh, well, it's an exciting day. It's a fun day as we think about the class to come. Um, I first want to say, to the young ladies and to the families, how grateful we are for their commitment to Washington. Um, we are excited for them as players, obviously, but we're even more excited for who they are as people. We got to know their families and coaches and trainers and just incredible group of women through the process. And we're so excited for who they are and to introduce them to the community, to the Washington, community, because I think they're really going to love them. I know that everybody's going to be excited to get to know them, so I'm excited to talk about them today. And I also want to take a minute before we get started about them and just really thank our staff. Latara King's been with me, I think, almost 7 years. I probably should add that up, but we're like family now. And she's so special because she's behind the scenes working so hard. Such an example to our young women of servant leadership. And I'm so grateful for her. She's our recruiting coordinator and just took a lead role in the organization of recruiting in this class. And David and Aaliyah and Lauren came in, and they've done a tremendous job of building relationships and helping us identify and, just really connecting with these young people and their families. So grateful for the staff. And it's always so important to find people who align with your culture and values and not just talent when you're trying to build a program that's driven by culture. So very grateful for the people that are associated with this program and for this community. And so just want to say thank you.
Just how long is this process in terms of recruiting?
What a great question. It can be different at different times. Sometimes you do see someone a little later, but I think that I love that you snapped because I actually think it is kind of instantaneous that fit when you're looking for talent and culture combination. And so I think with each of these young women, there was a moment that we got to connect really deeply. Pretty early in the process with all of them that you could feel that this was such a great fit.
And like with some, are we going back years until their freshman years or until before high school, or just how does that work?
Yeah, it's a great question. It differs year to year, each class. But the state of Washington, we always know a little bit sooner than anywhere. We hope we do. And so we obviously get to know those players pretty young. And then kind of on the West Coast next usually, and then we get across the country and then now across the world. And so can begin as early as their freshman year usually.
And anyone specifically that we can sort of talk about now?
Yes, we actually can talk about the class.
Okay.
So I'm excited. I love that. So, I'll try to just go in alphabetical order if that's okay. Nina Kane, she's one of the most athletic players in the country. She's a relentless motor and an instinct for the ball that makes her a game changer. And, what I think is really important about Nina, her family, is just the passion and the discipline and the work ethic and the kindness and the humility. It's just a beautiful family. And you can see all that in Nina, and you can see that in her game. So we're really excited to welcome her. She's a young lady that's, what I'll say about this class, especially three of the players, is there's a positionless type of play in them. And so, Nina is an incredible athlete that has shown versatility to play at least three positions right now, and can really grow in that aspect. And so we're excited for her ability to help us on both ends of the floor. Looking in alphabetical order. So Sienna actually comes to us from Australia. She's a point guard and really a great two-way player on both sides of the ball. She's tremendous. She sees the floor, has incredible IQ, makes everyone around her better, like you hope a point guard will. Again, is a player that really can score the ball at a high level, but she also is really special distributor of the basketball, but she can get to the rim. She's pull up. She can shoot the three. She's a player that is going to make us a lot better with the ball in her hands, and really great leader. Has tremendous experience as she's played for the Center of Excellence and Australia Junior National Team, and will compete with a lot of players coming up with a lot of talent in this coming year. And so we're really excited to welcome her and her family. Again, the culture, the character, you're going to hear that repetitively because it's important to us and it's important to this university. And so we really appreciate who she is as a servant leader. Bryn Martin is from Ohio. She's known as really a prolific scorer and, a big wing that can shoot the ball really quickly and really impacts from a scoring end, is a player that makes people around her better, leads well, but she's probably known for her competitive drive. She is a relentless worker, lover of the game, high IQ. She's a young lady that really embraces everything with her heart, whether it be her people or the game of basketball. And so she's somebody that I think people are going to love her passion and drive. And she's also, coming across the country. So, these are players coming across the world, coming across the country, that are committed to, really sacrificing to be here. And I think we have to continue to just thank their families for that. Bryn McGoy, Washington, a young lady from the state of Washington, one of the most dynamic and talented players in the country, known for the way that she can play the game really in a unique way. She can shoot the ball, and we know she scores it, but she also has this interesting ability, mobility-wise, to really be sharp with the basketball. The way she passes it, sees the floor, so she's not just a scorer, and she's someone who can really play right now. She could play probably 4 positions. She's someone that's got the ability to be incredibly versatile as well as Bryn Martin. We have 2 Bryns. It's going to be fun when someone needs a nickname. But really appreciate, again, the way that she plays the game at a high level. Choosing to stay home in Washington, she has an incredibly close family support system, community that loves her dearly, and I think it's awesome that she chose to come to the University of Washington, and we're going to combine our communities and really cheer her on, and so we're excited to have her. And I think what I didn't speak to was probably her culture. When I first met her through Ashley and Emily, they were her AAU coaches. They kept talking about who she was as a person. They were really excited about her as a player, but again, this is probably what blew us away most about this student athlete is the joy, the kindness and love that she has that's so evident when you talk to her. And I think that's something that you see in our team when you come to see us play. And so I think that's really neat that, she's someone who's going to embody that for us as well.
Coach, I want to touch on the culture point because you mentioned that. I know your players have talked about it up here. Just when you're building that, I hear the players talk about how hard they work and the support for each other is really evident. How big is that for you over your 4 years here to build that sort of culture so you can bring these obviously high-level players in and have them, be a part of something that seems like a really big growth environment for them?
Yeah, it's a great question. Our mission statement is to encourage, support, and develop servant leaders on their individual and our collective journey of becoming. And so what that means to us is in our program, we hope to develop servant leaders. So when you hear our young women come to media and talk about, we've been working really hard together, they're really committed to each other's goals too individually, as well as our team's collective goals. And so, could that be said to be more and more rare now than it had been in the past? It's arguable at times. It's something that you have to consider. And so I think that when we find young people who are excited about the people that they're signing with. This class is really excited to play together. I remember when we signed our first class here of freshmen, and there was 4 of them, and they were really excited to come to UW together. And you can still see their connection and their excitement for each other's growth. That's what we mean by culture, is that we want to be a group that's supported to helping each other be our best. And so I do think that does draw the best out of everyone. It gives us an environment that's a little safe to fail in and do hard things. And we want that especially for young freshmen that are coming onto our campus.
And then you obviously talked about, having a good sense of the state of Washington and recruiting, obviously you said Bryn McGoy?
Yes.
Okay, I want to make sure I get that right. With Bryn and then Devin, obviously, and last year's both Washington kids. How happy are you with being able to get 2 of the, top players out of the state? Because obviously I know in college you want to keep kids home in a sense. How happy are you with the last few years in that regard?
I'm really grateful. I mean, I think that you never want to take anything for granted. These are young women that could go anywhere and play, and we're grateful that that they see in Washington the incredible university that it is, the people that I think do make the place, and the possibility for an incredible future, and that they would be a part of, and that they would be needed in. And we're really just very grateful.
And then I'm curious. Just you mentioned three of this class could be positionless, right? Is that something that you're happy to keep as a coach, or are you more like when we get you here and maybe as we see your play develop, we'll figure out where to put you? Are you happy to keep them positionless, or is it a good problem to have?
It's a good thing for us. We want to, as you see each year, we try to just adapt style of play a little bit. And one of my favorite things is when let's say there's a foul on the floor and you really appreciate the people that are on the floor, and you could just move them around and then add who you feel like is the right person to come in, and it's not driven by the 4 has a foul or the 2 has a foul. It's just, this is the 4 that we need on the floor right now from a talent perspective. And it's a lot of commitment by each player to develop their skill set. I think we're growing in that tremendously. It's really fun to play the game that way. Who doesn't, as a post player, want to shoot the 3, or as a point guard want to post up? And so, that's really fun to just grow those skill sets. But seriously, we have a lot of young women that are aspiring to be professional players, and I think knowing the game and understanding how the game is played is more important than knowing a position.
Hey, just how important is it to stack these classes on top of each other? I think this is since you've been here, this is your third top 15 class.
It's really important that we continue to recruit some of the best talent in the country. We have high goals here, and want to we want to represent this university well on the court. And obviously, the most obvious thing I think in the game of the basketball is that there is a need for a certain level of talent on the floor, and we want to go after the very best. And I think if you combine talent and culture, you're a pretty dangerous team, and really that's our goal. And so we're so grateful for the talent level that we've been able to bring here, but also really appreciative of the culture.
I'm just curious, having a former player that you know well on your staff, obviously Lauren's a great example of that. How big is that, in bringing in some of the classes just to be like, hey, this is, what this can look like. Just, I guess, have someone who's been through it, who knows you well, and to be able to maybe pass it on as someone who played the game. Because I hear all the time, maybe a player telling someone else something is easier than a coach, that sort of thing. How big is it to have a former player on your staff to be able to maybe help relay messages, whether it's, more senior players or players coming in?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think there's so much for all of them. I think Lauren Swartz obviously played here and can speak to the culture and can speak to the work and the drive and how it's all combining and what it means to be in a team that's as united as ours. And, her and Aaliyah have both competed at a high level. Aaliyah's obviously played at the highest level and been drafted. And I think, David's obviously coached in the NBA for over a decade, I believe. And Latara's cut down nets with us. And so, this is a staff that brings a diversity of experience that's really beautiful in the way that student athletes, I think, can really get excited about what they can learn from the game from them, as well as from life.
Hey, did you lean on that Australia to Seattle pipeline at all with because there's been a number of Aussies who've come here for the Storm.
Yes, I got a really fun text from Sammy recently with a picture of Sienna and her, and Sammy's been really fun to get to know because her reputation is incredible for her work ethic and her drive, and she's just, but she's even a better person, and that's really what we're about, as a program and so it's so neat to see them connect, and then obviously we've had players play here, in the last few years too, and so I think it sounds very much like, most recently that there's been some good connection there. But it's a blessing that we've had student athletes come here and appreciate and be excited about the University of Washington.
And like, how do you recruit somebody in Australia? I mean, do you make that trip out there? And if so,
Normally.
can I go with you? I mean, like,
Yeah.
how do you do that?
I love that. It's interesting. Yes, normally we actually saw Sienna a little later because she was in the United States playing, and so we saw her down in Arizona. And right when the time came, I had burst an eardrum and wasn't able to make a trip. And so the family was so kind that we were able to get on a Zoom call. That's what's wonderful about technology. And they obviously were able to come over officially, for a visit. And so we had to connect a little bit more traditional, and haven't been able to make that trip. But we plan to go back out there, and that's going to be a lot of fun when we can go there.
And all right, can we expect a international trip into Australia
I
or
hope
anything
so.
like that?
Oh, you want to go?
Yeah.
Yes, I think so. Well, we always ask our student athletes, so that's coming up soon. And so, and I do think we have to give good consideration to our student athletes who play abroad, or who live abroad. Yeah.
Am I good to do non-recruiting questions? Are we able
Of
to?
course, yeah.
Sorry.
If you want me to.
I was like, I don't want to swap too much if we're not. Just curious how happy you are with first 3 games. Obviously, it's early in the season. You're going to get into Big Ten later, but how happy are you with just, the work ethic? I know a few of your players, I think, were getting shots up a little earlier. Just how happy are you through 3 games to begin the year?
I would say that we're always pleased to see growth. That's what we're making decisions on at the end of the game around success, and success is growth in the areas that we really spend a lot of time focusing on. So, for instance, rebounding has been something that we've focused on, and we've seen some growth in. We've spent a lot of time in the gym shooting, and so we've seen growth in that. But it's the time of the year that you also see a lot of things that are like, we've got to improve in that. And so, as a coach, I think always happy and grateful for, I guess, the commitment really to get in the gym and get better. And I think that's what we probably find the most excitement about. When we walk in the gym, we know our team is going to be in there, and they're going to be shooting and working on specific things that they need to work on. So grateful for that.
I know you highlighted turnovers as something. I know that's not going to be fixed like that, but I mean, are you happy with acknowledging, hey, this is a problem, we're working on it? What are you seeing over the last few games from? I think we mentioned that on night 1. How happy are you just kind of working to improve on that aspect?
Yeah, it's one of our areas that we want to talk a lot about. It's live ball turnovers are the ones that are the most concerning for us, and it's something that we want to see continued improvement on. When you choose to change your tempo, and we will change it in time to time in game if we feel like we're turning it over at a high rate, and it's something that we want to continue to play, a little bit more fast-paced. So I think it's just the commitment to continue to get skill development in. We have multiple players handling the ball at different times, and putting them in some things that maybe are still a little bit new. And so there's also just that's something that is on us, that we need to make sure that we're growing people in. And I think we're kind of in that space right now.
What do you like from your transfers? And Tyra, thank you. Tyra and Brenna, just I know one starts, one comes off the bench, but it seems like they've both been able to bring their own respective sparks. What have you seen from them early on?
The first thing that comes to my mind is like their incredible knowledge of the game. It's really fun to talk with them. You can go out and have a quick skill session in something, and you're actually going to see growth really fast. And so it's been really fun to have that experience. And they want to be in the gym. They want to see film. But they both bring different things to the floor. And Tyra is just an elite athlete. Like I think we've spoken about that. She's just kind of understanding the reach and the explosiveness and the strength, and she has a lot of things that you want in a player, and she's done an incredible job of learning how to use that well, and she's just started. And so it feels like this. I mean, I can't imagine the player that she will be by the end of the year. It would be restrictive, in my opinion, to have an opinion. So I'm just excited to see her growth continue. And I think the same thing with Brenna. She's in a tough graduate program, and she'll miss part of a practice to come from that program, and she'll be straight into the film session after, and then into individual training after, and just the drive to know. She's incredibly thoughtful, really really knows the game, and is just kind of understanding her athleticism as well. I think Buddy's done an incredible job from a sports performance standpoint. He's our sports performance coach, and he's done an incredible job in training, and she's just continuing to get faster and more mobile and really doing a great job. She led the Ivies in block shots, and I think, again, just kind of learning that she is a player that can play at a different speed than she's been playing.
And then being able to get kind of extended looks up and down your roster. I know every player scored in each of the 3 games. Just how valuable can that be to you, especially going down later into the year to know, see these game reps? Because obviously if you don't get game reps for players, I'm sure it's harder to tell just going off of what you see from them in a practice. Like how valuable can that be for you going forward to kind of see what you've got in each player just so early on?
Really important. I mean, we always want student athletes to have opportunity. Opportunity is earned. And so these young women they are working incredibly hard. You see growth in practice. You just want to see a commitment to that growth, and that's what we've seen and why players are on the floor. And we want to continue to build that depth. It's also incredibly important for the success of our program. Because you mentioned it, like there's always circumstances, whether it be foul trouble or sickness or whatever it is, that you want to be able to bring in the next person that has done the work and is ready to compete and be successful in that moment. And so I like what we're, I like what we're seeing early from that depth.
And you talked like before the season about Layla and like her sort of expanding her game, being more of a hub. Just what have you seen from her?
Again, that passion to learn has been really beautiful. I mean, she's, again, in film, in workouts, continuing to work on some new aspects of her game. And I can see that, I think that in practice, Delia plays very free and plays just beautiful, the way she plays. And sometimes when we get in games, we hold ourselves to like this level of perfection that can stop us at times. And I think she's growing in that now too. It's like we can't play a perfect game, but we can learn from something quickly and then, get another opportunity to have that great moment. And I love her growth in that too.
And you challenged Elle to kind of be more consistent. And like in these 3 games here, like she's been consistent. Just what have you seen from her?
Gosh, I mean, yesterday in practice was a great example of Elle Ladine right now. Is that yesterday she impacted the game, I don't even know how many times without the ball in her hand. She set flare screens on the backside twice to get her teammates wide open. She's cutting at a time that makes another player open. It's just the understanding of the game. Her defense is really growing. She's done an incredible job growing on ball and off. So I think that's Elle is a consistent leader for us. I mean, she's done such a beautiful job of understanding her impact in all areas of the game.
On paper, it seems like Eastern will give you maybe a tougher test than the first 3 games here. Again, this is an NCAA tournament team last year.
Absolutely.
I think did they win the Wazoo? No, they lost Wazoo, but it was close. With the Wazoo game, it was close.
Very close, yeah.
Just so what can we expect from them?
Yeah, well, first of all, Jody Gleason's done an incredible job. She's built a great program. They share the basketball really well. They know how to play the game at a high level. They compete. They're prepared. They're very efficient. And so I just think she's done an incredible job building her program. They're going to be a very tough game for us. They came out from the very beginning of the season competitive. They've been executing at a high level at an early time in the year. I think on both ends of the floor, they do a great job. So it'll be a tough game.
And if you could refresh me, I think the Peyton Howard, was that before you got here, or was
She was at Seattle, last year.
Oh, all right.
We played her last year.
And just what do you like to see from her? Because she's obviously...
She's very good.
Just very
Yes, we remember her well. No, she's an exceptional player. I mean, she's just a great scorer. She gets to the basket. She can shoot it. She's a young lady who understands how to have the ball in her hands and make good decisions. She makes the people around her better. She's high level.